May I please call?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, before you is Benjamin Cecil Locklear on indictment number 2021 GS 4541. He's pleading guilty today to 2 counts on that indictment. That's felony driving under the influence with death resulting, and felony driving under the influence with great bodily harm. It is a negotiated plea. The state's negotiations are a 13-year sentence suspended to 10 years active time, followed by 18 months probation on both charges to be run concurrently. He's represented by Stuart Axelrod of the Horry County Bar, and we are here today to do the plea in the case. Your Honor, there are several members of the victim's family behind me here today to speak. There are also several members of the community and the victim's family out in the gallery who are here to show support. Your Honor, we are ready to begin the guilty plea.
Okay. Mr. Locklear, you will plead guilty.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
If you have enough time to talk to your lawyer about this decision.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. You want to take the next one?
Please.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Outside of the negotiations that your attorney and the state has entered into, has anybody promised you anything or threatened you in any way to get you?
No, sir.
You under the influence of alcohol or drugs today?
No, sir.
You have any mental disease that prevents you from understanding what you're doing?
No.
By pleading, you've given up certain constitutional rights. You have a right to remain silent. When you plead guilty, you give that right up because you tell me you're guilty, you understand?
Yes, sir.
You also have a right to a jury trial on these charges. And in that trial, you'd be presumed innocent, and the state would have the burden of proving you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to all 12 jurors. You'll be able to sit in this courtroom and confront each witness that would testify against you. You always cross-examine the state's witnesses. He could subpoena witnesses to testify in your behalf. He could put up any defenses that you may have in this case. But when you plead guilty, you give all that up, you understand?
Yes, sir.
You understand that since this is negotiated, sons, you either have to follow the negotiations that the state and your attorney have entered into, or I'll let you withdraw your plea. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you had an opportunity to go over the discovery that the state provided your attorney,
Yes, sir.
you any questions about that?
No, sir.
You think that you have seen everything you're entitled to see on this case?
Yes, sir.
You got any complaints against your attorney?
No, sir.
If you want to appeal this guilty plea, you think that I've made a mistake, as far as the law is concerned, you've got to file that appeal within 10 days of today's date. You give that up for us. So let's go tell me about the facts.
Your Honor, at 7:40 p.m. on October the 19th, 2019, the South Carolina Highway Patrol was alerted to a motor vehicle collision on South Carolina 527. They responded out there. This Trooper Prosser, who was the first trooper on the scene, he immediately observed a GMC pickup truck in the westbound lane facing eastbound with heavy damage to the front end. He also observed a Chevy SUV in a ditch on the opposite side of the road. It had severe damage to the back and driver's side of the vehicle. This is near the intersection on Petty Lane. He was informed by the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office, who was already on the scene. The person who had been driving the vehicle had gone into the woods. They went and found him. The driver was Mr. Benjamin Locklear. He made inquiries about the people in the victim vehicle. The vehicle was on the side of the road. He was told that they had both been going to be transported to Grandstand Medical Center in Georgetown. They were both in serious condition. The driver of the vehicle was Ashley Avant, and with her was her daughter, whose initials are AA. The officer then approached Mr. Locklear, who had been found hiding behind some houses near the collision. He had a strong odor of alcohol coming from about him and had a slurred speech. Initially, Mr. Locklear participated in some field sobriety tests on the roadside, but then stopped doing so. He was taken to the Williamsburg County Detention Center. While they were en route, they were informed Miss Ashley Avant had succumbed to her injuries, and so the felony DUI investigation began. A search warrant was signed and blood was drawn. that was sent through the chain of custody to South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. The result was a .122. Your Honor, the investigation continued. The multidisciplinary accident investigation team was called out on May 18th to investigate this wreck. They measured marks on the scene. They examined the vehicles extensively and interviewed witnesses and came up with a report. Based on that report, these charges were brought. Your Honor, they made following determinations that both vehicles were traveling west on Seaboard Road in a posted 45-mile-an-hour zone. The vehicle driven by Ms. Avant was conducting a left turn. Her vehicle was struck in the rear by the vehicle driven by this defendant. The MATE team then reviewed the airbag control modules in the vehicle. These are black boxes, for lack of a better way of putting it. It tells those investigators information about speed and time of the collision. At first, they looked at Mr. Locklear's truck that he was driving. They discovered that his vehicle was going 68 miles an hour 5 seconds before the crash, and going 80 miles an hour 0.5 seconds before the crash, indicating an increase in speed right before the crash. They also reviewed Ms. Avant's module. She was going 18 at 2.5 seconds, 18 miles per hour, and 11 at 0.5 seconds. And her brakes were applied, conducting that turn I just discussed. So basically, he struck her, and she was conducting the turn in the lane opposite their path of travel. Your Honor, there are several members of the victim's family that are here that can tell you about Ms. Avant. That case. Those are the basic facts involving.
I'm Ken Avant, husband of Ashley, father of Lydia and Amber, Eve. First, I'm going to talk about Ashley because she was the good one. This is the book from the wreck. Made it through the rain, made it through the wreck. This is her notes from church, everything. So I'm going to try to go her route on this. You know, this is her writing. This is what she would be telling me. Come back to that. She's writing, don't let your mouth engage before your brain. It's talking to me. I know it is. I've read this book over and over for 3 years. They make it through that wreck, and there's a reason. It just says, Jesus didn't choose the best. He chose the willing. He chooses us, not we him. Our primary call is to be with him, to follow him. We have to leave it all. Commands us to spiritually reproduce. Come follow me, and I will make you fishers. So, this book started in June, and I ain't getting involved with religious and all, but it's helped me walk me through this. Because I've had to be there for them girls. No, all I did was work. I actually took care of the kids. Now I'm a single parent. I have to learn to put them first. I'll be strong. Like I said, this is Ashley. This ain't me yet. We have to take the risk to get the reward. Do whatever you have to get over this obstacle. In the name of Jesus. Ashley, tell him to push. So be the light when people will follow. Would you want to follow you if you were the only Jesus you saw? So here I am again. If you want to follow, are you leading? Are you doing what's right? Boom. We live in a time where it's always someone else's fault. It's just guiding me through what we've been through and how to push forward and how to go forward, how to raise these kids to do the right thing. Let me find some more. Examine how you're trying. Look around and where it's getting you. I mean, are you doing the right thing? Man, I mean, we got to change. You got to do the right things and push for good. And I'm trying to push for good. She said, be Jesus for somebody this week. You may be the only Jesus they see. Makes sense. Be good. Do good. She did good. Took the kids to church. But everything right. Me, not so much. It says in the Bible, anytime anyone was found in isolation or alone, it was always accompanied with pain or sorrow. Don't be alone. Find a friend. Talk to somebody. You got problems. You need to look for help. All right, tell the truth. We are tasked with telling the truth to a world that no longer believes in the truth. All trust is gone. We must show the truth in actions before we speak it. We have to earn the trust and the right to be heard. Talk's cheap. You got to use your actions. Then this is the last. When we confess our sins, we must also humble our heart. Every sin must be paid for either by Jesus or on the cross, or else by suffering in hell. Then the Ashley's words. That was a good lady. She was a good mother. She didn't deserve it. All right, now I'm coming to me. I'm mad. It wasn't but a few years back I was in the same position this guy was. I did the same things, party and drink. I did it all. So I know the truth, cowboy. Hey, all this, I know the truth. I know where you've been, I know where you're going, I know what the paperwork can say what it wants. I'm remembering Ashley. I'm doing the right thing for my kids. But I pray for forgiveness for myself, bad thoughts, good thoughts. I want to do the right thing. But maybe I am. I want to know how the system can sit here. How can they prove to these girls that we doing the right thing with another plea deal for somebody that I know the truth? So the cops, rightly, there's so many things to this. I'm not going to get into it. You got to prove to these kids they're the future. Are we doing the right thing when we got people that's getting multiple chances, and then I'm gonna have to deal with this again later, because it's coming. And I'm hoping for the best. I hope the change will come, and there can be a testimony from it. So I pray for my family. I appreciate all the support. And I'm going to let Andy, if you want to say anything, you can come up here with me. If you don't say nothing, but hey, lose your confidence. Look at it right there. Because he won't. So maybe if you wouldn't have went in the woods, she didn't hear. Maybe if you wouldn't have left them, she might be here. So that's what I have to deal with. You can help them. We washed a lot of this under the river, under the bridge. When you left for them, that's when it becomes personal, because they needed help. Say, Eddie, you my soldier. You want to say anything? Your time. Forgiveness. I'm just blessed they were coming from church with their grandparents and behind. Ashley had took family to church and they were going to see the mother turn into the drive. It happened in that front yard. It's your chance. You don't have to. Sit back down. I just knew the truth. I knew it's just hard to swallow because I know the plea deal and just pray for the cops, pray for they take the same people to jail over and over and over. But I ain't gonna go into it, so I'm gonna let them make it. They know how I feel. Pray for forgiveness for myself. May the good Lord reach it, California.
My name is Patricia Walters. I'm Ashley's mother. I have been thinking for a very long time on what I should say to you. My words are hard to come by, but here goes. Ashley was a good child growing up. Even through high school, she never got into trouble. She worked a part-time job while she was in school to pay for her phone and to give herself spending money. After high school, she applied to an office in Georgetown for a receptionist clerk. She got a call from that interview. She got the job. He told her, and I quote, "Can you start Monday and bring that infectious smile and personality with you?" That's who she was. That's who she is. She made friends everywhere that she went. One woman wrote me and she said, "Hearts are broken and words are shattered, pieces that can never be picked up or put back together. A community is hurt and questions are unanswered. Why did this happen? How could it be? What will they do?" You didn't have to know Ashley to know Ashley. Ashley was a person who you may have known as Ken's wife, Manley and the twins' mom, the lady at the ball field, Mr. Lee or Miss Patricia's daughter, Jason and Patrick's sister, or the happy lady that's always smiling at church. "I've always envied," she wrote, "the way that Ashley could enter a room. Even if she didn't know a soul there, she could walk out having made friends with 90% of the people in that room. The other 10 left before she had a chance to. She was an amazing soul and so much fun to be around. She didn't have to come from your crowd to end up as your crowd. She fit in wherever she went. She was just so likable. You could not just not like Ashley." We will never have the answers as to why things happen, but regretfully we will always have questions. Ashley's going to be missed very much, and people are going to hurt for a very long, long, long time to come. It's easy to say, trust God's will, or He won't put more on you than you can handle, and we all know this is true. However, it's not the easiest thing to believe in times like this. That was just one of the many messages that we received. We all have to be ready to die at any given moment, myself included. I am ready to meet my Savior face to face. I've been ready for a very long time, serving the Lord, but I've never prepared myself to lose a child. Nobody is prepared for that, especially when it's at the hand of someone else. She paid paid the ultimate cost for somebody else's sin. We're all paying that price still today, all because one man decided to drink and drive. Ashley was living the American dream. She had a big brick house just off the river, a good husband that took care of them, 3 beautiful girls. She worked a job that she loved, and they would allow her to come in when she took the girls to school, and she would get off to pick them up from school. Her dream was shattered because one man decided to drink and drive. She was a model citizen. She had never been arrested for anything. They may try to portray Ben Locklear as a model citizen, but he is not. What a model citizen is portrayed as these days, then our society is in big trouble. We have spent endless nights holding 3 little girls as they would cry themselves to sleep, or wake up screaming from a nightmare only to have their mama die over and over again. We're all living a nightmare, all because one man decided to drink and drive. We could be at family functions trying to live without her. I would often find one of the girls had slipped off. I'd go find her crying, asking, why did Mama have to die? We can go different places and they'll see some things that remind them of her, and the mood quickly changes. It goes from a good day to a bad day. They don't ask why anymore. It's been almost 3 years since the wreck. They don't ask that question anymore. They've come to realize that no one has an answer. 3 children forever broken. A husband, 2 brothers, a father, and myself forever broken. All because one man decided to drink and drive. Annie started middle school this year. She really needs her mama. This is such a tender age, and no one can take Ashley's place, even as hard as we try. I have lots of memories of she and I shopping for her prom dresses. We had so much fun. She even had me trying on some just for the fun of it. Then came the day to look for a wedding dress. This is a special day for every woman. We went every Saturday for a month. Charleston, Florence, Myrtle Beach, Conway, and all in between. She tried on hundreds of dresses, then we found her one. She was so happy. She looked forward to those special days with her girls, but these days, with these girls, they'll never have it. All because one man decided to drink and drive. First dates with no mama. A shoulder to cry on when a boy breaks their heart, gone. No mama to teach them to drive. She will not be there to share in the enjoyment when they get their first out-of-the-park home run. All because one man decided to drink and drive. The day the wreck happened, we had been at a church fall festival. Ashley had to leave and run an errand. I asked her to drop Emily off at my house so she could visit with my mother that was living with me. She was disabled. I told her we would help clean up and bring the twins with us. She started gathering up her things along with Annalie's things, and Annalie could not find her bucket of candy. We told Annalie to just come on. They left the church. She was hit turning into my driveway. I've been struggling with the fact that somehow it was my fault. She was dead because I sent her to my house. But even worse than that, Annie thought it was her fault because she couldn't find her candy. A 9-year-old thinking that her mama's death is her fault. It is not her fault. It is not my fault. The fault lies on one man's hands, and one man that decided to drink and drive. Annie had to sit in that mangled car and listen to her mama gurgle while they waited for help, while this man ran into the woods, leaving the scene. He didn't even call for help. go forward. None of us has figured this out yet. We just smile when we're supposed to, make a pretty face for the public, and move forward one step at a time. I've tried to find myself for the past almost 3 years. I'm lost. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know how to go forward without my child. I just exist. Myself or any of us would not have survived this so far without God. He's had some big shoulders for us. He has helped us through some really tough times in the aftermath of her death. And I know He will continue to see us through.
I've had 3 years to think about what I want to say today. How I would respond. And I choose my words carefully. I've had 3 years of grief, 3 years of agony, 3 years of torment, 3 years of pulling up to the point of impact, 3 years of looking to the left for oncoming traffic and seeing the rescue place where my daughter lost her life. A sentence will be handed down today. But our sentence was handed down on the night of October 19, 2019, and it was a life sentence. We now live a life of grief, of torment. My daughter was dealt a death sentence. My family was dealt life sentences. My boys come home for a family event, and I watch them struggle as they're lost, knowing their sister won't be there. They try to hide their pain, they try to hide their grief, but they can't. I watch 3 little girls struggle daily with life without mommy. I watch my son-in-law as he tries to take on the role of Mr. Mom while dealing with his own grief, his own emotions, and his own struggles. I watch her mother as she fights. She doesn't struggle, she fights. Depression, anxiety, fear, anger, and grief every day of her life. And myself, when I find that everyone's taken care of, and they're all kind of settled down, then I'll find me a quiet place, and the rock that everyone believes that I am turns to sand and tears. This wasn't the act of a random bad decision. This was a life decision, a lifestyle. Because court records show that he was arrested 5 prior times for DUI. Those were pled down to lesser charges, and it's my understanding that a lesser charge in a plea bargain is a lesser punishment for the promise of a better behavior. Yet here we are today. Another lesser punishment for a charge promise of a better behavior. We would have welcomed a plea bargain October 19th. We would have gladly negotiated a plea bargain that night. But we didn't get one. I watched my grandchild struggle with the guilt that somehow Mommy's death is her fault. I watched my wife struggle with the same thing. I didn't come here to bash anybody today. But I want the court and everybody in here to know that I wish and I pray that no one in here ever walks this road that we're walking on. You say he's a repeat offender. But in the eyes of God, we all are. We're all repeat offenders. And nothing we can do in the eyes of God, nothing that happened to us, no punishment inflicted, not even our own death will ever appease the anger of God he has towards us. So he extends grace and mercy to us. And I want the court to know today that I don't want any apologies, nor do I seek any. That nothing, no sentence, no amount of time served, not even his own death will ever appease my anger. Towards him today. But may he graciously accept this plea deal of grace and mercy in the state of South Carolina. And the family of Ashley W. Amen. Knowing he truly doesn't get what he deserves.
Anybody else?
That's it, Your Honor.
And I wish I could do something to take away your pain. I really do. I sit in the courtroom somewhere every week and deal with people who made terrible decisions that affected people's lives forever. In every stage, I deal with drug addicts and alcoholics and people who steal, people who lie to their family, who steal everything from them. But the most valuable thing any of us have is our relationships with each other. And when somebody takes that away, it is incredibly painful. And I can't do anything about it. I would do anything if I could take away your pain. When you leave here today, I could have done something to help you. But I'm not going to be able to. And I can't give you justice, and I can't give him justice. And he's here for mercy and grace, just like you talked about. And I wish I could do something for you. He made a terrible decision that's taken so much away from so many people. And I really appreciate you reading the book from Ashley. Because, when you leave here, it will always be a hole in your life. You'll never get over this. You just learn to live with it. That pain will always be there. And you can spend the rest of your life hating him and be absorbed with grief and anger, and it'll just destroy your life. And I hope, based on what you read from me from Ashley, if she was still here and one of you were gone, she'd probably contact him in prison and give him some degree of understanding and mercy and grace. But she would have the ability maybe to do that. I don't know, and I wish I could fix this pain you're going through, and I am so sorry. And I see it every day. I leave this courtroom. Sometimes my job is easy, and sometimes it takes everything I got, and sometimes it takes more than I got. I can't fix it. And it's tough. But you got each other and you got the Lord, and if you hold on to that, I hope, at least one thing will leave when you do leave here today. This chapter in the book will be closed, and this will be behind you, and hopefully you'll be able to hold on to those memories and do everything you can to love each other and help these children grow up. in some loving environment. I appreciate you being here, and I'm so sorry. But based on the terrible decision, you had to go through this thing that I can't share. Yes, sir, Mr. Axelrod.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, there's no winners in this courtroom today. The losers are beside the victim's family, a client's family. Your Honor, on the day I met Mr. Locklear, he was remorseful. It's easy to say, if I could take it back, I would, but he said it. We talked about originally possibly a bond hearing, and he told me he didn't want to put the victim's family through this. He had sat in jail from the day he was arrested. We never saw a bond hearing. We understood that. He told me to tell the court today that he is sorry, and there are no winners, Your Honor. We asked the court to take a negotiation.
Okay, on indictment 2019, A45, 101000528, count 1, felony DUI, resulting in death, sentence to the court, you committed state law correction for a term of 13 years, and pay a fine of $10,100, provided under the service of 10 years, provided suspended, be placed on probation for 18 months, giving you credit for 1,048 days. On count 2, sentence is 13 years, suspended to 13 years and $5,100 fine. Suspended to 10 years with 18-month probation to run concurrent, and credit for time served.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is Christian News TY. I'm Tony Conyers. Is there any newsworthy events? We will get them to you as soon as possible. If not, you can follow us on Christian News TY Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on our website.
My name is Aubrey. My name is Reagan. My name is Riley.
And my name is Robert.
For the best news,
Turn down the bass.
push that button and follow us.